All right, how's it going? I wanted to do a quick video for you guys. This is the day before the test. This will actually come out about 11:30 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, and then you'll probably see it on Wednesday at some point. If you see it before this test, that's great. I wanted to give some last-minute advice about what you should be doing the day before and the day of the test as far as your prep work goes and your thought processes go. So we will start with what to expect. Right? Everybody asks, what do you expect on this test? Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be easy? We don't know. But here's one thing I'm definitely certain of. Every year, the MAA committee puts things on the test that nobody has seen before. And I have a theory about why this is. Now, I'm not privy to any of their private discussions. They don't CC me in their emails, which is carbon copy, for those who don't understand that. They don't tell me. I've never seen a memo, and part of that might be because this is actually leading to an international competition, and we don't want to let the other countries that we're competing with know what our overall strategy is as a country for the USA IMO participants. And so this is a theory, just my idea of what their goal is to accomplish. And here's what I think that goal is. Why are there problems on the test every year that no one's seen before? I think the reason for that is the following, and I will give an example of how to handle these in a moment at the end of this video. I think, and I don't know, this is my opinion, from what I've inferred, this happens every year, and my understanding is this. I don't think they want people to make it far in the competition who only know how to repeat processes. If all you can do is repeat what you've learned. If that's all you can do, you can't innovate, you can't react on the fly, you can't overcome adversity you weren't expecting, they don't want that student to make it to probably, I would say, no farther than USAMO, right? Because it means that all you can do is do what's been done before. If somebody told you how to do it, then you can do it. And if nobody told you how to do it, you can't do it. And guess what? If that's you, if all you can do is look at all of the past tests and repeat all of the things that you learned from them, oh, if they give me a circle with a tangent line, I know to do this, and I apply formula X. And if I just apply all the formulas that I learned, I'm going to succeed. No, you're not. Right? They don't want that kind of student to make it far. You might make it to Amy with that skill level set, but you're going to need to develop another gear. You're going to need to be able to innovate. The student who sees the question that no one's seen before, oh, I wasn't prepared for this, oh, I don't know the formula, I can't do this, weakness, give up, walk away, you're not going to make it. You need to think on the fly. You need to innovate. They want the students who can innovate to make it to the USAMO and beyond, MOP, all of that. The questions are designed to be unique. There's unique twists that have never appeared on AMC 10 or 12 in the previous years. It happens every year. If you are the one that comes across that and you immediately give up, that's what they want. Give up. You're too weak. Or you can say, I refuse to accept my limitations. I will think of a way right now, in the spot, in the moment. I will think of a way to solve it under time pressure. That's who they want to advance. Again, I don't know that to be true, but it's what you can expect. There'll probably be at least 6, 7 questions at least that are first time, never before seen kind of concepts that you're going to have to unravel like a ball of thread. You're going to have to unravel it in the moment, at that time. Another student mentioned to me once that it seems like they're going for what the equivalent of something called ad hoc problem solving, which I didn't look up before this video, and I should have. But I believe it's kind of the equivalent of that. You are innovating in the moment without previous direction. What can you come up with? That's what you're going to face. So when it happens, there cannot be panic. There cannot be, oh, I don't know what to do. No, expect it. Expect it so that when you see those questions, those 6 or 7 questions, those are the difference between people who will qualify for Amy and who will not. They are the difference between people who will make it to USAMO or who barely qualify for Amy. Right? That's what's going to separate the men and the women from the boys and the girls, so to speak. So if you can't do it this year, it's okay. You got another year to grow. Now you know what to attack. You're going to have to make an attack plan for how to develop those skills. But don't be weak, don't be scared, don't freak out, don't panic. There's no time for that. You need to react. You need to expect, and when it happens, understand that every single test taker taking that test is having that same exact moment of fear and panic at that point. That's the point. They want you to feel that. And the ones that overcome that adversity, and they march beyond it, and they get the necessary score, that's what they want. They want those students. Those are the students who are going to succeed to get USA to the IMO medal. Again, don't know that to be true. It's just what I suspect. Okay, so I will give an example of how to do that in a moment. I'm going to use the 2019 AMC 10A problem 18. Approximate cutoff. I get asked this a lot. I don't know. This is again an inference. I think the goal is to make approximately for the AMC 10 a cutoff of around 110. It can't be 110. It can be 109.5 or 111. I think this is the goal every year, to be around there. This is just a guess. I don't know. It's just what I think. But you cannot rely on this. You don't know for sure what it's going to be. Last year it was 103.5 and 102, right? So you don't know, okay? So the best strategy is not to worry about the cutoff necessarily, at least in advance. During the test, I will sometimes think about, oh, this question was super tricky. I bet 80% of people fall for the trap answer. And this one, oh man, I really had to have a slick amount of ingenuity to solve that. If there's a lot of those, expect the cutoff to be lower. If there's not so many of those, then the cutoff's going to be higher. I do remember some kind of memo they put out a while back that they wanted more separation at the top, approximately 2014 or 2015. They made some kind of announcement like that. And so to do that, they were going to be making the test more difficult. Maybe that was only the AMC 8. I don't remember where I saw it. Maybe I'm faulty memory, but I think they had something like that. So where do you want to aim for it? Get a feel for it during the test. The best strategy, don't guess, number one. We're going to get there in a second. Don't guess. The best strategy is answer as many as you feel confident in answering. And maybe one or two where you're 99% sure, but not 100% sure. And you had to rely on some kind of an inference that you couldn't prove in the moment, but without that inference, there's no way you're going to get it. That's a risky decision, but sometimes I've done it and it's worked out in my favor, and sometimes I've done it and it hasn't. You're going to have to make that risk decision in the moment at that time. Okay, so approximate cutoff, that's covered. I would say here's your target for minimum scores answered to get qualified. If you can answer 15 questions and skip 10, you will get a 105. And this is getting nothing wrong, right? Okay. If you answer 16 and skip 9, you will get a 109.5. And if you answer 17 and skip the last 8, you will get a 114. By the way, we're just adding 4.5 points each time. If you didn't notice, because you're converting a skip into a correct, which is 6 minus 1.5. So then what are these the likelihood? If you only answered 15, I would give you maybe a 10% chance to qualify. You might, but probably not. You never know though. If you answer 16, get them all right, no mistakes, I would give this probably about a 50% chance to qualify. I believe this would have qualified you on each of the last 4 tests, meaning the A and B last year and the A and B before. This is going to get you a lot higher. I would put it at probably 80% chance to qualify with a score of 114. Just rough. This is a rough guess. I have no idea what's on the test. This is just a guess about approximate amounts that you should be aiming for. So if you get to this range, understand that every question in this range is a premium value. It could be the difference between qualifying and not. But I don't recommend that if you can only answer 16 and you're trying to get to a higher percent chance of qualifying, that you guess on something. Don't guess, okay? There's 2 things, know and don't know. Plus, if you guess, are you really going to feel like you made it? Aren't you going to feel like you had to get carried up the rest of the way up the mountain? Or are you going to feel like you climbed it? I know what I'd rather have. I'd rather have achieved it and not have guessed my way to an AMY qualification. To a certain extent. Obviously, if you get close to an answer, you know it's 1 or 2, you've done a lot of work, put a lot of work in, that's okay. But if you're just outright, flat out, just randomly guessing, no, not worth it. Okay, so the next thing up is, I do know people, by the way, who have guessed on a problem thinking they needed it to qualify. Guess how many points they missed qualifying by? 1.5. They would have qualified if they hadn't guessed. It's up to you. It's your strategy. You do what you think is right for that situation. And it's in the moment you have to decide, but I don't recommend it. Next question I get asked a lot, and I see it in the forums. Will people cheat? For this one, I wanted to share a message that I found on the forums. It was shared on AOPS forums, that is. Somebody asked this in my comments, and I said this is a fair question, and I think from a youthful perspective, it can be a little more alarming than for someone with the benefit of more life experience. Similar posts have been found on AMC forums, and one of the moderators responded with the following quote from the MAA director. I'm reading what they wrote because I think it needs to be heard. I will also include my comment and their statement in the description of the video. The mission of the MAA, this is the statement from the director. The mission of the MAA competitions is to increase interest in mathematics and to develop problem solving through a fun competition. Students gain the opportunity to learn and achieve through competition. Sorry, I have a stutter sometimes. With students in their school and from around the world. Teachers and schools benefit from the chance to challenge students with interesting mathematical questions that are aligned with curriculum standards at all levels of difficulty. Cheating at the AMC contest is pointless and stupid, and those who engage in it or even discuss it have completely missed our purpose, the purpose of education and the joy of learning. Lift your heads up. Steve Dunbar, MAA Director, American Mathematics Competition. I completely agree with this statement. Director Dunbar's remarks, as I said in my comments, are extremely wise and demonstrative of leadership. And so my additional thoughts, I'll try to summarize them here without reading directly from it because it's not as engaging, but I'll leave my comment in the description of the video. Basically, you through life are going to have things that you can control and things that you cannot. Are people going to possibly cheat? They might. Is there anything you can do about it? There's not. Nothing you can do. You can think about it if you want, but it's a waste of time, really. That's on them. They're going to have to live with themselves the rest of their life, right? And you might think, oh, I should cheat too then. No, probably not. You're not going to feel good about it. If you have any kind of character or integrity, in the years that follow after you are given so much praise from family members or friends or school, you get some kind of an award. If you had actually cheated on the test, it's going to gnaw at your conscience, and you're not going to feel good about it in the aftermath. Trust me, okay? I've heard it from people before who have done such things. If you want a tainted victory, look at the steroids era of baseball. A lot of them did really great. None of them are in the Hall of Fame. Up to you. Think about what you think is important to you. I wouldn't think about this anymore after you've heard what the director said and read the comments on it. It's not really anything to think about. Think about what you're doing and what your plan is and what you're going to accomplish. And some people might say, oh, they succeeded and because they qualified for Amy by cheating and you failed because you didn't by not cheating. I would say it's exactly the opposite. They might have a tainted success. No, I shouldn't put the quotation. They have a tainted success where they've succeeded in qualifying for Amy by cheating, but really the truth is you succeeded by having integrity and character. Think about that. Okay, so what to study the day of and the day before? I get asked this a lot, and it's my opinion. Okay, there are other people that have different opinions. They're very qualified to hold those opinions. This is just mine, and it's what I think. And so understand that, it's my advice. I don't think it's worth it to do whole tests the day before. I think you've studied for a year or 6 months or 8 months, as hard or as difficult as you've put in the work, you're not going to change your scores significantly by doing mocks the day before. Instead, this should be a time to review all of those concepts that you've learned, the theorems, the ideas, the pictures, right? All the things that you've written in the small notebook. Any formulas that you learned this year, any underlying concepts, you want to review those. Okay, maybe do 5 problems from the mid-range, like anywhere from 6 to 15, just to keep sharp, on problems, but I wouldn't do a whole mock test. Mostly it should be review, 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 over and over and over again throughout the day. That's my advice on that. If you look on the forums currently, Sohail Rathi, who has the Omega Learn website, has got a post in the blue forum, the Contests and Programs forum, and he made a PDF of all kinds of formulas and concepts that he breaks down. It's like, I think, 36 pages or 86 pages. I don't know. It's long. and he put in a lot of really great effort for it. You might want to check that out on the forums and just glean some concepts off of there that you might not have thought of recently. It's not just about knowing concepts, it's about having them at the tip of your mind ready to implement them, right? Because if you've recently thought of the concept, like in the last 24 hours, the chance of you seeing the opportunity to use it in a problem increases exponentially. So, what's next? 8 hours, the day of, same thing, more study of the notebooks and the concepts. 8 hours of sleep. I just don't, you can go a little bit lower if you're one of those people who survives on 5 hours generally, and you might think you can. I've never seen anybody do well on 7 hours, less than 7 hours of sleep. Typically kids need about 9 hours of sleep to actually get what they need. So if you're going to go lower, 7 is the absolute minimum. You go below that and your thinking capacity and ability to think quickly diminishes each less, half hour of sleep that you get. I think it's too much of a risk and it's absolutely not worth it. You're not going to change anything by staying up late to study more, right? Get the sleep that you need so that you can be well rested and ready to perform, okay? Food before the test. I would eat before you have the test. I would not eat anything that has ever upset your stomach right before you take the test. Because the last thing you need is in the middle of the test, you're having to run to upset stomach kind of thing, right? You don't want that. Nobody wants that, really. So make sure you do get something to eat. You don't want to be hungry. You don't want to be thinking about, oh man, I wish I had a sandwich right now, or I should have eaten. Maybe have a granola bar next to you just in case for an emergency. But eat a little bit, maybe a few hours before the test, so that you're a couple hours, so that you're good. You're not thinking about food at all. You're trying to eliminate any distractions in advance, and you're planning this out, okay? Coffee, sugar, and chocolate. Everybody asks about this. If you don't normally drink coffee, and you probably shouldn't, because if you're taking the test for merit, you're still in school. And most kids in school don't really need coffee. You have you convert calories into energy much better than adults do, and so you typically don't need these things. Sugar highs wear off, right? So if you have sugar before the test, it's not going to last the whole time. Maybe at the last half hour you have your sugar high drops off. If you've ever drinking like 4 Mountain Dews, which you should never do, but I did as a kid because, hey, we didn't know any better. And then a little bit later, all of a sudden, the sugar crash, right? You crash because you don't have the sugar high anymore. I don't think it's worth it. I wouldn't mess with that stuff. I wouldn't think about this. But if you've used chocolate before or something, I've heard people talk about that. You do you, whatever works for you. I don't know for sure. Different people react differently to different things. Okay, but I don't really recommend these kinds of things. I'll get to this one in a moment. I want to talk about these ones. The noise environment. Talk to your family in advance. Siblings, right? Let's not have them having a rock concert in the next room. Let's not have people laughing and joking with the dog, or TV up really loud or anything like that. You need to talk to them in advance and ask them, to respect. This is a big moment. The Super Bowl's this Sunday, but this is kind of your Super Bowl, if you will. And so you're going to have 2 shots at it. You need to control the noise. You need to eliminate, zero noise, no TV, no iPad. It's only a 75-minute test, plus the time you're filling out the forms. I'm sure they can be quiet for an hour and a half. That's all you're asking. So aim for that. Explain the situation. I'm sure that your family will be understanding and supportive of that decision. The aftermath. After you finish the test, it's time to think about what did you learn, right? It's like your game film, and you're going to go and look at the game film and think about, what was I weak on? Was I not able to answer these kinds of questions? Did I not have enough time? Was I too slow? Did I not know certain topics? All of those things are idiosyncratic, if that's even a word. It's unique to you, okay? They're your idiosyncrasies. You're going to have to take them and make a plan going forward about what you're going to attack in the next year. But really, you only have a week before the B test, less than a week. You shouldn't think about that too much now. Just understand, take note of things you can work on, and after the B test is over, if you did not qualify for Amy, it's back to the drawing board. Maybe after a short break. I think a short break is good after the test, but don't take so long of a break that you just decide you don't want to do it anymore. You want to get back to learning, and especially in the off-season, focus on theory and things like that. These are AOPS books. These are various other books and sources that you can use, this channel, other channels, whatever you can find for resources to teach you the concepts that you are going to need on the test. The last thing is I would watch the Amy Mindset video. It's on my channel. It's in the competition, AMC 10 competition preparation playlist. in the playlist section where it says playlist. And you're going to want to watch that. I think the best time to watch this is right before the test. It's just kind of a reminder, not right before the day of, but like, earlier, maybe even the day of if you're taking it in the afternoon. For me, I'd rather take it in the afternoon. In the morning, my brain is like, oh, I need some like coffee, but I'm an adult. So, watch this video either Wednesday, which would be the day before the test, or Thursday, the day of the test. I just think it's really helpful to think about the thought processes that you have and the mental preparation you want to have going into the test. A lot of people agree that this kind of idea is just as important as your problem-solving skills. Okay, so give that a watch. I will link it in the description as well, and probably at the end of this video it will appear at one of the end screen caps. Okay, so I think that's about it. Aftermath, got it. We're going to go to this. I want to talk about what to do when you've never seen something before. It's a brand new concept, or at least a new wrinkle on an old concept that has never before appeared. How do you handle that? We'll be right back to demonstrate exactly how you can handle such a situation. Be right back. All right, so as promised, I wanted to give a demonstration of what you do in a problem when you've never seen before the underlying concept. At least on the AMC, a lot of people, when they encountered this question, had never quite seen something exactly like it. They've done similar things, base work and stuff like that, number theory, but maybe not with the repeated decimal, and so they might not have been prepared for it. Many people were in that situation. In fact, I wasn't really strong the first time I did this problem with number theory. I had only done the Intro to Number Theory book a couple of times. More than once is good, in my opinion. And so I had to kind of come up with a plan for how I was going to attack this. And I'm going to share with you what that plan was and how you lead to it. One more reminder, I will have the solutions that I know how to do for the 2021 tests, the February ones happening Thursday, approximately Friday morning. I should have as many up as I was able to film the day before. So let's get to it. 2019 AMC 10A problem 18. It was also the 12A problem 11. Again, you'll notice it was number 18. This is in the qualifying range, right? If you're being able to get this question correct, you're probably either making AME or you're making USAMO. It's distinguishing you, right? It's one of those ones, and there's a lot like this. This isn't the only one, but this is one of them. For some positive integer k, the repeating base k representation of the base 10 fraction, so this is in base 10, 7 over 51 is this, and it's 0.23 repeating, but in base k, which as they note over here, it's this means repeating 23, 23, 23 forever, but in base k, and it wants to know what k is. So for a lot of you who are really strong in number theory, the problem is probably trivial for you. But for a lot of people that, even me at the time, I wasn't really prepared for exactly what to do. I couldn't remember how repeating digit numbers work in a different base besides base 10, right? And so what I said was, wait a minute, how am I going to attack this? Let's think about this. And this is what you have to do. You have to come up with a plan based on the things that you do know. And you have to ask questions, and you are teaching yourself about the concept in that moment under time pressure. This is what that looks like. Here was exactly how I solved the problem. There are some faster ways, especially if you were stronger at number theory, but this is the process that I went through. I thought, okay, what happens if I have something like 0.41 repeating in base 10? What is that? I actually know, and you should know, the shortcut to this. It's just 41 over 99. And I asked myself, well, I see where the 41 came from. Where does the 99 come from? This is a question I'm asking myself. And I said, wait a minute, let's go back to one of the ways that you can get this value for it. Let's see how it would work. If I set x equal to 0.41 repeating, okay, there are other ways. You can use geometric series and a couple other ways to get this value. But I'm just going to show you one of the early ways that you usually learn it in Algebra 1 even. So x equals 0.41 repeating, and the goal was to get rid of these two decimal places. So we had to multiply by 100 to do that, to move them outside of the decimal point. So it would become 100x equals 41.41, again repeating. Okay, and there are more complicated versions of this concept, but this is a basic one, and so I wanted to demonstrate how it works. The next thing you would do is you want to subtract the repeated portion from this side. The goal in general in all problems is to reduce the complexity, and the thing that makes this complicated is the repeated part. So if we got rid of it, then it's not complicated anymore. That's kind of the goal, right? So you're going to subtract 0.41 repeating. But on the other side, if I was to subtract that, is it going to help me? What's 100x minus 0.41 repeating? Who knows? So rather than subtract that, we're going to subtract what it's equal to. We subtracted x, we got 99x equals, and the repeated parts cancel, leaving you just the 41, and the x was 41 over 99. So I thought about this process and I said, where did that 99 come from? It came from 100 minus 1. Why? Why 100 minus 1? Why did we multiply by 100 here? You have to ask yourself why you do those things. For many people, we've repeated a process so long, we forgot why we do it. That's what you have to be able to recall and analyze. And you're going to use this to make this easy. Let's see how. So if I did 100, the reason that you multiplied by 100, well, think about it for a second. Pause the video and think. It's because it's 10 squared. And what's significant about 10 squared? Well, for one, we're in base 10. You don't think about base 10 when you're working in base 10 because you're always working in base 10. But for this problem, you should, because you're multiplying by the base squared. And then when you subtract 1, you got the 99. This is the idea. The 99 came from the base squared minus 1. Let's go to this one. If I want to do 0.23 repeating then, it's going to equal 23 base k, because you're still in base k with the 23. The 41, you don't have to write base 10. I mean, you can, but it's kind of redundant. You're obviously in base 10 if you don't talk about a different base. But here, you're going to be in base k. And a lot of people might have forgot this and got stuck if they just put the number 23. So you have to consider that it's in base k. You then divide by k squared minus 1. Okay, this is not times k, it's base k. Well, how do you convert something from base k back to base 10? Because I would like to set it equal to this, because it says the repeating base k representation of this. But this is in base 10, so I need this to be equal to continue on my path. And so I need to convert this, and it's not that hard. If you take the number 419 in base 10, you can expand it to say it's 4 times 100 plus 1 times 10 plus 9 times 10 to the 0, which is just 1, right? And so you have 4, 1, 9, and these are the powers of 10 because you're in base 10. That's what you do with this. It's simply 2 times k to the first, just like these would be 10 to the first, right? And then plus 3. And you could put k to the 0, but why? So 2k plus 3 over k squared minus 1 equals 7 over 51. This looks like something you did in Algebra 1, possibly Algebra 2. From here, it's smooth sailing. But to think back about how we got here, we don't know what we're doing, we think about something similar, we ask ourselves, how did I do this? Why is it 99? Right, because we've forgotten probably. And then you reinforce that it came from 100 minus 1. Why 100 minus 1? What would it be in base k? Well, 100 is 10 squared. It's k squared minus 1. And that's how we find ourselves here. We simply cross multiply. You're going to get 102k plus 153 equals 7k squared minus 7. Okay, then I want to move things to where k squared is positive. So we're going to have 7k squared minus 102k, and the 153 is going to be negative 160 equals 0. The only way you can factor this first term is 7 and 1. So it's going to have to be 7k and k. And I don't know, the first thing that pops in my mind for this is 16 and 10, because it ends in 0. I don't know, it just seems like it's logical. It could be 20 and 8, I suppose. But if I do 16 and 10, how would that work? So I do this, I put 16 and 10, I put 7 and 1. This is just my way of factoring. 7 times 10 is 70, plus 16 is not 102. How about 7 times 16? That's going to be 70 plus 42, it's 112, and then I would have 10 left over. Those numbers, the 112 and the 10, have a difference of 102. And we want a difference because that's a negative sign. So I need the 7 and 16 to multiply, which means the 16 is going to go here, the 10 is going to go here. Then I think, okay, I want a negative 102, so the 112 needs to be negative and that positive. 7 times this must be the negative, this must be the positive, this is what it is, this equals 0. That's going to give me a negative, we don't care. This gives 16. That's the value of k. That's how you think on the fly. Draw upon whatever resources you have at your disposal. Your personal resources are the experiences that you've had and what you have learned. If you say, oh, I've never worked with 23 base k, I don't base k with repeated, oh, I can't do that. That's your fear, and that's why you're not going to qualify. Overcome the fear. Find a way. Find a way to think about how to figure it out on the test. That's what will distinguish you from the other test takers. That's what's going to make you go far. Okay, don't give up on a problem. I hope this helps, guys. Good luck on the test. Look for the solutions to be out sometime morning Pacific time on Friday. I don't know when. I'll probably do it when the AOPS forums open or shortly after because they get locked during the test. You guys have a good one. See you around.